Hey, come here. Come out.
Hi guys, Grant Nelson here again with the Mustache Off-Grid YouTube channel. It's been a while since I made a video. I've just been busy. Winter is definitely not the best season out here. So, you know, I've just been trying to stay sane, dealing with the cold weather. You know, it's a lot more work. And then I've also been dealing with a lot of things as far as in my personal life, just things in town and stuff like that. So anyway, I figured I'd make a video today and just give you guys an update because I hadn't been making any videos in a long time. So anyway, I've been working on the log cabin. I haven't got the roof on yet because I've been so busy with everything else. But I'm hoping to get the roof on in the next month here. We haven't had too much snow or rain. I mean, it did get rained down a little bit, but the linseed oil helps a lot. Having the logs elevated and up and down helps them stay preserved pretty well. So I'll have an update just so you guys can see where I'm at with the log cabin in this video here. All right, figured I'd give you guys an update on the log cabin here. You can see we've got basically the top header there. You probably can't tell from here, but it has just enough slant that I think it'll work for the roof. I might raise that edge just a little more. It kind of just fit that way with that log, so that's just kind of how I did it. It's got a little bit of a slant, maybe like a 2 or 3 inch slant, which is about perfect. You can see I'm putting the header up here to set the other logs on. I just figured that'd be easier. And I've got about 6 logs left, so I think it'll work about perfect for spacing them across here, and then putting plywood across them. I'm going to cut that end off there. I'm going to put a top 2x8 on there, 2x10, whatever type of board that is. I can't quite recall. But you can see it's coming along pretty nicely. The logs are looking pretty good still. They've gotten a little bit of weather on them. Some of this stuff, like you got a little bit of fungus right there. I'll have to scrape some of that off. Maybe I'll scrape some of it off, maybe torch it a little bit. But for the most part, the logs ain't too bad. I wish I got it done before, you know, we had some heavy rains and stuff, but I don't think it affected it much. The linseed oil definitely helped them a lot. But you can kind of see where I'm at with everything right now. I'll back up a little bit for you guys. You can probably see that the top header just has a little bit of a downward slant. I might skin the bottom a little bit more on the end there. Give it even more of a downward slant. It might be like a 12-foot skin with the chainsaw down the top of the log, but it's a strong log. It was a heavy log, I'll tell you that. It was heavy to get up there. That was a big log. Both those top ones were way too big to be lifting up there, but I got them from a neighbor and I said, well, I'll put them to use. I'll add them on there. You can see the windows looking nice, and then I'll have the I have logs going this way, you know, kind of like how that is, but I'll have that coming next. You see nice looking corners, and we'll have cement up in all these little crevices. Every single little crack is going to be filled in with cement. I'll probably get a sprayer and spray linseed oil in all the cracks as well. You know, even the cracks that are like, even something like this, I'll probably spray linseed oil in there, maybe put some caulk in. But you kind of get the gist. You know, all these little cracks are going to have to get mortar cement. I'll probably spray linseed oil in them. But you guys can get an idea of what's going on with the cabin so far. Corners looking good. Logs looking good. You know, I wish I had the roof on before the winter, but I don't. And I could do a log roof if I wanted to, or, you know, but I'm going to do logs for the beams, and I'm going to put, I think, 1/4 inch plywood across the top of them, put some roofing paper down or roofing material across the plywood, and then I'm going to use a sheet metal roof, which is going to have a one-way slant this way. And the reason that I'm doing the roof that way is because if I do the roof that way, then the water goes downhill. If I put the roof slanting that way, then the water's all going to come and it's going to have to cross all these cement pylons and wear the ground over time. So you want your drainage to go downhill and hopefully go into the pond. I might put a gutter on it and, you know, rain barrel type of thing, but that's not the first priority right now. But you guys can see how it's coming. Figured I'd give that update for you guys. I came down the hill today because I'm planning on putting some more nails in these headers up here. I had to skin across here, make it a little smoother. And you can see they're not perfect. Like right here, I might have to chainsaw a little bit. I got them connecting in there. It would have been good to probably press those together a little better, but that's kind of just how it fell. And when you're high up on the ladder like this, it's a little bit harder than it looks. You could see the downward trend a lot better when you're up here, that there's a little bit of a downward slope, and I'll probably build this end up a little more and probably take a little bit off the bottom end just to make it flow downhill a little bit more, even give it even more of a downward slant. And the more I build this end up, the better that slant on that end is going to be. That's basically what's going on with the log cabin. Figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update on where I'm at with everything. Getting everything sealed in, working on trying to get the roof up. I'm hoping to have the roof done by within the next month here. Hopefully get it done before spring. And I've got all kinds of stuff I'm working on. So anyway, I'm gonna shut this off here. All right, you guys can probably see kind of the idea now, how it's going to be a one-way slant that way. I've got about 3 more logs to go in here. I might have a couple extra. I might have 7 or 8. It just depends. But you can see how I'm going to have them timbers inside. I'm going to put plywood across all the timbers. You know, that's why I kind of want to have some in the middle. Because if I could space them 8 foot, then that middle will support and it won't droop down. However, if I use 1/4 inch, I might have to use an extra beam. You can see right here, I'm thinking this has a nice slope to it, but I'm thinking I'm going to add a 2x4 on top all the way down it. Just that way it'll even out the edge. And I might even do 2 2x4s on top of each other, and that way I can kind of lock it in. Just because it's a little low on this front, but it fits so right that I just don't want to mess with it. Although, you know, if you look at the timbers, these ones actually seem like they almost sit a little lower than it. So I mean, I might only need to just build up the front section of it. You can see there's a big warp in that. I'll probably try to set that warp upward if I can, or sideways, possibly even, which won't be that hard. I'll probably just take something from the ground and poke it up for support. But you guys can kind of see what's going on here. I haven't even nailed this header in yet. I just got excited and I was about to quit, and I said I'll lift them logs up there just so I can get the look. But you guys can see how it's looking. Got the slant going. I wanted to do the slant that way, but the way that front beam went, I just decided to do the slant that way. That'd be easier, and that way I could use a lot less logs. So anyway, hopefully you guys see what's going on. Here's a clip of Bailey just for the video. All right. What else have I been working on? I had 2 new baby lambs born yesterday, so I think they're about 2 days old now. So I'll give you guys an update on those and let you guys see those in this video as well. The pigs have been doing. Here's Loretta, guys, and she had 2 new lambs. You can see them over there. She had 2 new lambs about 2 days ago, and I just figured that I would give you guys a video so you can see the lambs. They're pretty healthy, and they deal so well with the cold. I don't use any heat lamps or anything. I just make sure it's strawed down well, and I pen her up for maybe a week, you know, so they can stay in the barn without the ram and the other sheep picking on them. Man, he's dark. Well, I guess she's dark. They're both females. As far as what I could tell, I didn't really flip them over, but I didn't see anything looking like they were males to me. But yeah, they're healthy, and I just figured I'd give you guys an update so you could see the lambs and what they look like. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about them. This ewe has been a good ewe. She had twins last year as well, and that one of the sheep over there, the smaller one on the left, is her daughter. So she's a good ewe so far. I got her for $30, which, you know, for what a deal. And she seems to be producing well. And the lambs are healthy, and they deal so well with the cold. I mean, everyone uses heat lamps and stuff, but you don't really have to use heat lamps and stuff. It's not required. So anyway, figured I'd give you guys an update. Been good. They've been growing well. I'd say they're getting close to 50 pounds right now. They're kind of a smaller breed, so they don't grow quite as fast, but they're doing well. All the animals have been doing well. I got some new chickens as well from a neighbor, just because it was about time to get a few fresh ones. And the way egg prices have been, I figured that it's probably a good idea to get some fresh chickens and have them. I was down to about 5 hens and 1 rooster, and I said I'm going to get 10 more, so that way I have an excess of eggs instead of just a couple eggs. And this time of year, the hens lay a lot slower too. So I'd say I probably get 2 or 3 eggs a day, you know, out of those 15 chickens. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3, you know, max this time of year. But in the summertime, I'll be getting 2 dozen a day, and I can just live off the eggs, hopefully. Been getting plenty of meat. I got a deer back in rifle season, I think day 2 or 3. So I got that processed, and I've been keeping it in the freezer. I'm trying to get 1 more archery one before the season ends to cold smoke. I'd like to cold smoke the whole deer. I mean, I'll still quarter it out. I'm not just going to put the whole carcass in there. I'll probably do the exact same process I normally do for cold smoking the deer. What else have I been working on out here? I've been working on all kinds of stuff, and you know, like I said, wintertime is it's just a different time of year. You know, I got the wood stove going, so I'm staying nice and toasty, but there's just a lot more maintenance, and really I don't like to do a lot of projects in the winter. I much prefer to just maintain my existence throughout the winter, if that makes any sense. Like, to give you an example, this morning, you know, I was thawing out my water tank. And, you know, it takes a lot of work. You know, it probably took me 30 minutes just to get the tank open and get the spigot open. And, you know, there's long-term fixes for that. And I have some ideas on ways to prevent that in the future. Maybe that's for another video. But as far as it goes, one great way that you can dethaw those tanks is, one, in the wintertime, I only leave them about 1/4 of the way full. I don't film to the top because you don't want to have a solid block of ice and have 300 gallons of water with, 6 to 10 inches of ice frozen around it, and then your spigot, your water spigot in there is, 6 to 10 inches under ice too. So one thing that I do is I only film a quarter full. Usually if it's I look at the weather, which is one of the great advantages that off-grid homesteaders today have. If you have access to a phone and you can see the weather, which, I mean, obviously most modern homesteaders do, you can see if the next day is going to be sunny or not. And my solar well pump runs off the sun. So if it's I'll fill up some 2-liter pop bottles, with water, and keep them inside, and usually a 5-gallon bucket of water. And then I have my big tanks that I'll crack a hole in the ice to water the animals with, just open face tanks, for watering my trees and my animals. It's all rainwater. So a lot of times if it's real cold, I'll water the animals out of that tank. I'm not going to consume that myself. I could in an emergency, but I'm not going to consume that myself. I could boil it and filter it and whatnot, but as far as it goes, having a couple options like that, you got to crack the ice quite often. But if you can get your solar well pump to run the next day, you only fill up your tank a quarter of the way full. You get your solar well pump running the next day. That water coming out of the ground is 60 degrees. You fill that tank up about halfway or 3/4 of the way, and it'll dethaw it right out. So that's the easiest way to do it, I've found, if the weather is pretty mild. Looking at the pigs over there, they were playing. They kind of wrestle around a little bit. But anyway, that's just a tip that I have for people. The water coming out of the ground is going to be 60 degrees usually, even in the wintertime in my region. It's not that way in all regions, but most regions I'd say it'll probably be above 45, 50 degrees. And if you've got frozen things frozen in buckets that are just solid chunks of ice, if you put some of that fresh well water on it, you can dethaw a lot of things just with that. So like sometimes I'll have a frozen pot of water, and I bring it up to the well pump and put some of that 60-degree water on it, let it sit on top for a few hours, and all the ice blocks, you can just dump them out then. So if you have a solar well pump, look and see if it's going to be sunny the next day after a cold front and a freeze. And we're supposed to be back in the 40s next week, and by then I probably won't have near as much issue with the ice in the next week. It's mostly just this week and how cold everything's been, because I believe it's been 10 degrees or cooler at night out here. It's definitely been below 15, I know that. I haven't checked the temperature exactly, but according to online, I think we've hit 9 degrees, which isn't super abnormal. We've had negative 15 the last 2 years. I bundle up inside. I cover the windows with blankets just to make it a little better insulated. And then, just burn wood and get it fired up and keep it toasty in there and try to stay inside as much as possible. But in the daytime, when it gets up in the 30s, like it does out here, usually if it's sunny and stuff, it's really nice actually. And today isn't so bad. It's the first sunny day we've had in maybe 3 or 4 days. So, I mean, it's just nice to see the sun. It's always nice to see the sun, gets you excited again. So that's one thing to consider. Dethawing water in the wintertime, the water out of the ground is always going to be a certain temperature, and it's a lot warmer than the water above ground, obviously, if you have tanks and stuff. Also, keeping an extra tank and just having it empty is not the worst idea in the world either. And that way you can dethaw one, have the other one going, and fill it up. Fill up the one that has nothing in it. So having 2 tanks is another workaround issue with that. I may have talked about some of this stuff in prior videos, but if someone's living off the grid, your mind tends to think of solutions to problems, and maybe this is something that can help someone with dethawing their water and stuff like that. As far as the rabbits, I find that in the wintertime, bowls are the easiest because you can bring them inside, have them de-thaw, and pop the ice blocks out of them. Water bottles, they work, but they're a little harder to de-thaw. You still just bring them inside and they'll de-thaw, but I much prefer bowls in the winter for rabbits. And if you have two sets of bowls, you know, one empty and then one that you have to bring in and de-thaw each time, you know, that's a pretty good solution to that problem. Always keeping some water inside. You know, if you have a jug of water or some jugs, I like to use 2-liter pop bottles because as far as plastics go, they're one of the plastics that doesn't break down as quickly. Like milk jugs will eventually have a hole in them. They break down, which I find interesting. You know, I just don't know why we would use a plastic container that holds liquid that breaks down over time. And it makes me wonder how some of that couldn't get into the product you buy from the store, but at least some of it, trace amounts, you know, but trace amounts over a lifetime could add up. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But 2-liter pop bottles are one of the kinds that doesn't break down. I think they make the best type of canteen as far as drinking water and stuff like that, water storage. So, and they're pretty good sized, you know, so one of those could last you a day, you know, depending on how much water you drink. But anyway, them are just some tips, you know, for water in the winter, de-thawing your water tanks and such. If you have a shop, you can bring them in. That's a bonus. You know, I was thinking of if I get a kerosene type heater and build some sort of insulated thing around the tank and light that heater at night, you know, that might help keep it de-thawed. But you know, I'm not going to put it on top of the thing. I'm going to put it in the room with it if I built like a little enclosed room around it. But we'll see. You know, that's just something I've been thinking about. Anyway, that's just an update of everything, guys. Everything's going good. Homestead's still going good. Haven't frozen to death. You ready for your treat? See it? See it? See it? Nice catch. Nice catch. We'll give you one more for the show. One more, boy. See it? Nice. Very nice. Good boy. Good boy.